of AJOC from the Republic of South Sudan. First of all, I would like to welcome the new co-chair, my colleague Hassan, and then I would like also to welcome the AU facilitator, Uchuku, and I would like also to welcome the head of mission of Abyei, and then the force commander, General. And I would like to welcome everybody from Republic of Sudan, the team of Republic of Sudan, my colleagues, without mentioning names, and then also my colleagues from the Republic of South Sudan. Let me go straight to my remarks, which are very few, and I will be very brief. It is my pleasure and honor to address this AJOC meeting under the leadership of the AU High Panel Implementation. On the issue of great interest and concern to us as a country, and to me personally, that is the crisis situation in Abyei. We sincerely welcome the report of the Secretary General 2015/77 and the renewal of UNISFA mandate by the adoption earlier of Resolution 2205/2015. Both the report of the Secretary General and the resolution addressed issues that are critical to the security and the general welfare of the people of Abyei. So I highly welcome the appointment of the head of mission and the new force commander as well, and the renewal of UNISFA life even in Abyei. As we have repeatedly said, the deployment of UNISFA is perhaps the most significant positive development for the people of the area in decades. Abyei used to be exposed to unhindered attacks from the north that had led to the virtual depopulation of the area as people fled to the south for safety. We are very grateful to the United Nations and the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia for this major historical reversal of the situation. We also appreciate the role played by the successive force commanders of UNISFA and their brave men and women in service. We take this opportunity to welcome the appointment of the civilian head of mission of UNISFA, whom we expect to work in close partnership with the force commander and other stakeholders in the Abyei situation. While we acknowledge with a great appreciation the positive role being played by UNISFA and the sustained commitment of the force commander and the civilian head of mission in Abyei area to enhance the protection and welfare of the people of the area, I would like to take this opportunity to underscore a number of issues. First, it cannot be overstated that although the government of South Sudan and a number of international actors are doing what they can do to provide assistance to the area, the people of Abyei are suffering from a vacuum of state responsibility for their protection, services and services delivery. Second, despite the heroic efforts of UNISFA, so credibly reflected, they continue to experience high level of insecurity as well, with the frequent killings, cattle looting, and overall physical harassment. Thirdly, all this is done with the absolute impunity. The issue of accountability is central, because justice delayed is justice denied. There is a long history of lack of accountability. There is very limited mandate of UNISFA as well. But it is very important to have a few cases which will show that the UN Security Council is serious about the accountability. There can be no reconciliation without justice to preempt the possibility of revenge. A big number of Ngok Dinka unarmed civilians were killed. There was no accountability, and efforts for reconciliation were made, but no truth. The wound is still there in the hearts of many Ngok Dinka. With all the murders that have been committed in the area over decades, not a single culprit has been arrested, tried, and punished. This has naturally deterred the displaced Ngok Dinka from the returning to the area, despite repeated calls for them to do so. The international community is called upon to redouble its efforts to more effectively fill this protection and assistance vacuum. Allow me, sir, to borrow from Shakespeare a quotation, say that to be or not to be, that is the question. For how long will UNISFA be in Abyei? 5 to 10 years? If UN Security Council keep on renewing and renewing the mandate of UNISFA, rather than seek the final solution of Abyei problem and stop the unjustified death of innocent unarmed civilians from Ngok Dinka. A positive step in that direction must be identifying the sources of insecurity and threats to the lives without ambiguity or moral equivalent. Although the last report of the Secretary General has clearly, unequivocally, or clearly, apparently, exposed the attacks on the Ngok Dinka, the resolution unfortunately falls back on the old practice of fairness that clouds the facts and the correlative responsibility. For instance, the language itself strongly condemning the attacks on United Nations personnel, calling for investigation of these attacks in a swift and thorough manner and to hold those responsible to account. This is Resolution 2205-2015. Makes it sound as though these attacks are from both communities, which is not the case. Likewise, expressing its determination to prevent the recurrence of violence against or displacement of civilians and to avert intercommunal conflicts. Quote, gives the impression that both communities are responsible, when it is well documented that the attacks in the area are one-sided inside Abyei box, south of Abyei town, for example, like Gongmo, Mantengteng, and Mariala Chak, to mention but a few. We have never had any reports of any attack on Misiria civilians to the settled villages around Mujlet town of Misiria by Ngok Dinka. It is always Misiria militia attacking the Ngok Dinka in their villages during all seasons. Although goodwill implementation of all agreements between the Sudan and South Sudan for resolving the Abyei situation is pivotal, the security of the area will ultimately rest on restoring the peaceful and cooperative relations that used to exist between Ngok Dinka and Misiria. While that state of affairs has been severely damaged by armed conflict, compounded by the linkage of the two communities to Khartoum and Juba, with the goodwill from the key stakeholders, the situation can be much improved and eventually normalized in the interest of all concerned. Steps need to be taken urgently to facilitate dialogue, reconciliation, and cooperative coexistence between the Ngok Dinka and Misiria. In this connection, we welcome the call for measures aimed at bringing closure to the assassination of the Ngok Dinka paramount chief, Deng Kwol, including by the releasing of the report of the African Union Investigation Committee into the assassination, and facilitating traditional methods for resolving such conflicts. While the traditional rights of seasonal access to water and grazing for the Messiria must be reaffirmed and guaranteed, the reported plans and actions of the government of the Sudan to resettle the Messiria nomads in the Ngok Dinka territory, as defined by the Permanent Court of Arbitration in July 2009, must be stopped, as they only fuel tensions between the two communities. In the interim, until the current tensions ease, UNISFA should be commended for the measures it has taken to improve the security situation by establishing a disengagement line between the Ngok Dinka and the Messiria during the dry season, and determining safe routes for Messiria passages to water and grazing. A conspicuous source of insecurity in Abyei's presence is the presence of the oil police in Diffra, whose Dinka name is Kech. It's called Kech by Dinka. Indeed, one of the absurdities in the area is the tendency to call many Ngok Dinka areas by the names given to them by Messiria nomads instead of their original Dinka names. This is directly to UNISFA because all the time we correct the names, but UNISFA sometimes, because they are coming not the original people in the area, they use all the names we are using in the area, which sometimes is also provoking the tension between the two communities. Efforts have to be made to correct this tendency. Without much success, we did not succeed in correcting all this. On the oil police specifically, we welcome the Security Council reiteration of, quote, its demand that immediately, without preconditions, the government of the Sudan redeploy the oil police in Kech or Diffra from the Abyei area. Quote, instead, UNISFA should be mandated to control and protect the wells and the installation in the area. There is an urgent need to enhance the security of the area north of Abyei town, encourage the displaced inhabitants to return to their original home areas, provide them with the essential services, and stabilize the situation. Pending the resolution of the final status of Abyei, in this connection, we welcome with much appreciation the statement that the Council recognizes, quote, that absence of the development projects and the inability to deliver basic government services had an adverse effect on Abyei populations, and calls upon donors to support reconstruction and capacity building. Towards that objective, the government of the Sudan should be urged to make available to the area the agreed percentage of the revenues from the oil produced in the Abyei area, and to agree on a mechanism of their control and disbursement. Finally, the issue of the administrative vacuum in Abyei also need to be urgently addressed. Abyei needs and deserves arrangement that will ensure autonomous self-administration for the Ngok Dinka, in much the same way the Messiria administer themselves in their own area. This can then be complemented by special arrangements for addressing issues of mutual concern, such as is now the case with the Abyei Joint Oversight Committee. To conclude, allow me to restate a point that I introduced earlier. Given the obvious lack of state protection and assistance of Ngok Dinka of Abyei, The international community is urgently called upon to step in and fill in the gap vacuum. Much has already been done and is being done, especially through UNISFA. But a great deal more needs to be done. Abandoning the area can no longer be an option. Many thanks to everybody for your humble listening. That is the end.